Who do you think is happier after 1 year? A recent quadriplegic or someone who won $1 million in the lottery? Hands up, who says quadriplegic? Who says $1 million lotto winner? Well, it turns out that after 1 year, their happiness levels are exactly the same. What does that tell us? It tells us we're really bad at predicting what's going to make us happy. We think that something awesome, like winning the lottery, is going to make us really happy. We think that something terrible, like becoming quadriplegic, is going to make us really unhappy. But it turns out that doesn't really matter. So who is happy? Well, there's positive psychology researchers out there who go out and study happiness and come up with various characteristics of what makes people happy. Some of those things are people who are in healthy marriages end up being happier, people who are religious are happier, people with high incomes are happier, meaningfully employed people are happier, people who are educated are happier, and surprisingly, older people are actually happier than younger people. But there's a problem with causation. Is it that marriage actually makes you happier, or is it that happier people make better marriage partners than those who are sickly and depressed? We're not really sure. It's an interesting question. There's also a certain number of things that we know that don't necessarily make you happier. For instance, having babies doesn't necessarily make you happier. Having pets doesn't necessarily make you happier. Living in warmer climates doesn't necessarily make you happier. And men and women today, happiness levels are about the same. So what is happiness? Well, there's two ways to measure happiness. One is through surveys. So these guys at Oxford came up with a bunch of questions. They go around the world and ask people. For instance, I laugh a lot, I think I look attractive, I feel healthy. They ask people these questions in order to get a feeling of how happy people are. The second way is through neurobiology. So they put some stuff on your brain. They figure out the chemical reactions that happen when you engage in pleasurable activities such as eating, having sex, exercising. They can see what happens in your brain. And they come up with various conclusions. So where are people happy? Well, the top happiest countries: Costa Rica, Denmark, Iceland. India is somewhere in the middle, near China and France. And the least happy countries are war-torn, poor countries. All right, next question: when are people happy? This is a map. This is a graph of happiness of Europe from 1970 to 2010. And you can see that although there's some small peaks and valleys, generally it's an even line. Both at a macro level, so nations and both individuals, happiness doesn't really change much if you look at it over the long term. So what does this actually tell us? It means that studies show that if it happened more than 3 months ago, it has almost no impact on your happiness today. So don't worry about that exam, don't worry about that job, don't worry about the promotion. It has almost no impact. Why is it important to be happy? Well, being happy actually makes you smarter. People perform better on tests. They're able to solve more problems. They're able to find more solutions to certain questions. The second reason it's important to be happy is it actually makes you healthier. Happy people on average have 30 points lower blood pressure. They're less likely to die from stroke and heart disease as well. So now I'm going to give you guys 5 unlikely ways to be happy. And a quick word of caution: this might not necessarily apply to everyone. These are just things that I'd like to share with you guys. So number one, time and time again, studies show that the number one most important factor to happiness is the quantity and depth of your social relationships. So I'm advising you guys to safely talk to strangers, meet the people around, talk to new people, engage in activities that strengthen the bonds between your friends and your family. Number two, if you're not feeling happy, you can fake it. Put on a smile, act cheerful. Emotion follows action. So just by smiling, you actually end up feeling happier. Number three, this is my favorite one. You can buy me presents. All right? Studies show that by giving a gift, it actually makes you happier than receiving a gift of equal value. It doesn't just stop at presents. Doing acts of kindness, volunteering, all these things contribute to a positive sense of well-being and happiness. Number four, research happiness. There's a book I really like called The Geography of Bliss. It goes out to the happiest countries, the least happy countries, figures out what makes people happy. Just by being aware of the factors that make you happy, make you happier. And number five, participate in events like Ignite. Ignite is, you get to meet new people, you get to talk to new people, you get to learn new things. Thank you very much to the organizers.